The Taliban has legalised slavery and discrimination against non-Muslims in a sweeping reform to Afghanistan's criminal code, according to a human rights group. The move has gone largely unreported, with only one UN official raising his concerns. In early January, the Taliban's emir issued a decree on the criminal procedure code for courts, which was circulated to provincial courts across Afghanistan. Human rights charity Rawadari calls the code deeply concerning. Within it are provisions to legalise discrimination against non-Muslims and the suppression of basic freedoms. The code outlines Hanafi Sunni Muslims, counting for about 30% of Muslims worldwide, as the only Muslims, characterizing followers of other sects or religions as heretics. The Taliban decrees that those who, quote, defend false beliefs contrary to Islam, or those who invite others to such beliefs, should be killed with the permission of the imam. Mockery and ridicule of Islamic rulings have been outlawed, as have dancing and watching others dance. Those part of the Hanafi school of thought are forbidden to abandon their belief, incurring a 2-year prison sentence if they do so. The code enshrines a strict class system and a division of people into free and enslaved categories. Article 9 divides society into 4 categories: scholars, the elite, the middle class, and the lower class. The punishment for crimes will be determined based on your class. Crimes committed by scholars, for example, shall be resolved with advice. A lower class person committing the same crime is to be imprisoned and sentenced to corporal punishment. The Taliban introduced the concept of slavery within the code, invoking the word ghulam, meaning slave. Article 15 rules that, quote, in the case of any crime for which a prescribed punishment has not been specified, discretionary punishment is ruled whether the criminal is free or a slave. Article 4 sets out the conditions for punishments to be carried out by the, quote, slave master. That the Taliban have set out legal recognition of the status of a slave and a master, Rawadari believes constitutes evidence there's widespread slavery being practiced within the country. Afghans have been stripped of their right to access a defense lawyer and the right to remain silent. The Taliban has removed maximum sentences, making way for arbitrary justice. Turning the wider population into vigilantes, the code orders every Muslim, quote, whenever they witness sinners committing a sin, is permitted to proceed with their punishment. Article 30 allows teachers to physically punish children, though prohibits anything resulting in bone fracture, torn skin, or bruising. Rawadari have been alarmed that sexual violence against women has not been outlawed in the criminal code. The only mention of violence against women is a sentence to 15 days imprisonment for a husband who beats his wife with a stick, resulting in severe wounds the wife couldn't prove in court. Other areas of the code allow husbands to punish their wives, which Rawadari interprets to include physical punishment. The charity has worked closely with Western media outlets like the BBC and DW in the past, though this story has gone largely unreported in the media. UN Special Rapporteur for Afghanistan, Richard Bennett, tweeted on the 24th of January he was, quote, still analysing the Taliban's new criminal procedure code, including from a human rights and Sharia perspectives, but it's already clear that the implications for Afghans are extremely concerning. I will be issuing more detailed statements in due course. Bennett, however, has not followed up on X. On the 7th of February, he posted he would discuss human rights in Afghanistan at a conference in Lahore. On the 17th, he posted his support for a UN post expressing, quote, solidarity with the people of Palestine, who have been suffering unlawful occupation, apartheid, and an ongoing genocide. The British government has signalled its intention to start deporting Afghan criminals, though this move may boost migrants' chances in court when seeking to block their removal on human rights grounds.
There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GB News viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN, plus 4 months extra for free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN. An Afghan asylum seeker who was today convicted of abducting and raping a 12-year-old girl will now apparently face deportations. This is the new line on this story that we led with at 10 p.m. He's called Ahmad Mulakil, who's 23 years old. He's a Channel migrant, and he'd only been in Britain about 4 months before he raped a 12-year-old girl. He abducted her. He first spotted her playing on the swings in a playground. The only reason they actually caught him, or one of the reasons they caught him, is because he used a Home Office card, which taxpayers give money to, about £49 a week, to buy her a drink after the attack. That was one of the pieces of evidence that eventually snared this guy. And, again, you're paying for him to live in a house of multiple occupancy. You're paying for any legal fees that he might be using to try and stay in Britain. You're paying for him to buy that drink for the 12-year-old girl that he raped. Anyway, then you've got the government now apparently saying that they will try to deport him, but it depends on his prison sentence, which obviously is expected to be more than a year. A senior Taliban official told The Telegraph, that's a line, isn't it, that the terror group would be willing to take Mulakil back and any other Afghan held in a foreign prison. Now, the government doesn't recognise the Taliban, which means that there is no formal returns agreement, but 41 convicted criminals have been returned to Afghanistan in the last 3 years, and the Home Office have released a statement saying we will not allow foreign criminals and illegal migrants to exploit our laws. They'll be referred to deportation at the earliest opportunity. Right, Paul, should this Afghan sex attacker, Afghan rapist, who we do have a mugshot of, by the way, be sent back to Afghanistan?
Absolutely, shouldn't be here in the first place. Look, I mean, just some of the... what a harrowing start to the programme, by the way.
Yeah.
The idea that you've just read something out that mentioned both the Taliban, a returns agreement that we don't have with the Taliban. The Taliban would take this person back like he was part of their ownership in the first place. He's come from Afghanistan. He's arrived on a boat. He's been here 4 months. He's gone into a playground and taken a 12-year-old girl. He's given her a drink. None of these things, they weren't happening. These didn't... If you've just tuned in and you've been in the country 20 minutes and you're on holiday, I'm really sorry. This is not how it used to be. It never used to be like this. We had problems, we had homegrown problems, but we have got to a point now where we are just accepting this. And the government are caveating this by saying we might send him back depending on his prison sentence. Don't give him a prison sentence. Don't pay any more for him. Send him back immediately and gather up anyone else is likely to do it. And I don't think there needs to be much evidence. I don't care for due process anymore. The idea that we could take the risk willingly with our young girls, for me, is abhorrent.
Christo?
I could weep at these sorts of stories. I was listening to you talking about it on the way in, and actually you want to weep, don't you, that this girl, was she 12 years of age? Just playing with toys when she was describing what happened to reassure herself afterwards, when she was talking to the police. No one voted for this. No one voted for any of this. And this nonsense that we hear from the Home Office, we will not allow foreign criminals to exploit our laws. Well, yes, you do. It's exactly what you do. No point saying that afterwards. No point telling us afterwards that you won't allow foreign criminals to exploit us. That's precisely what's happening. And I'm so sick of hearing from people that say, well, this is awful that you're tarring all migrants. There are horrific people who live here in the UK who were born in the UK, and we're stuck with those people because they were born here. And that's terrible that they commit those crimes, but they're ours. I don't know why we're adding to a problem by allowing people to come here and not at least either vetting them, making sure that if they are put somewhere when they arrive here, that they are on, as we've said, an army barracks. Why can't we have Nightingale centres? Why can't we have them offshore? Why are we just allowing people to come here and have the freedom to go and do this
It's a house
stuff?
of multiple occupancy as well as the thing, right? This is the thing. So for all this talk about shutting down migrant hotels, they are going to move these people into houses of multiple occupancy. And I need to remind you about this. We currently have more people, illegal migrants, in migrant hotels than we've ever had. There might be fewer hotels, but what they've done is they've rented bigger hotels. So these people are all going to go into houses of multiple occupancy where there is no security. There is no security. And, you know, the upshot of this, Jonathan, without wanting to put too fine a point on it, really, is that we are, like, seeding rapists and abusers and attackers around the country, from countries and cultures where this kind of stuff is commonplace.
Well, I don't accept that view, Patrick. Look, it's a very difficult thing to talk about. Obviously, my heart breaks for this girl, goes without saying. There will be people who come to this country who will do despicable things. There were Jewish refugees who came here before the Second World War who did terrible things, and people who fled persecution in decades and centuries gone by who were bad people. Refugees are not somehow more uniquely virtuous than other people. That's not to excuse anything that anyone does.
Well,
but I kind of feel that it's when we single out...
The opposite, though. Sorry, it's not that they're more uniquely virtuous. It's actually that we know that certain countries that they come from, they are actually more likely to commit these crimes.
I think that is not the reason why people have a problem with migration or asylum or whatever. If it was a less proportionally sort of prevalent among a certain ethnic group that was coming here, I think that we would still be highlighting crimes done by these people, even if sort of white British people were committing a certain crime sort of more proportionally, because there's an agenda, which is obviously to say we don't want sort of migration, we want to, you know.
Do you honestly think that the reason why people are reporting on this particular case...
How many? I mean, how many is acceptable then?
Yeah.
This is an outrage.
No, Jonathan.
Well, no, because it's a trap.
Let me finish the question. Let me finish the question.
What do you expect me to say? That, I agree with some Afghans committing rapes.
You're talking about proportionality. I don't care if it's 1%. I don't care.
But then you're making an argument for no migration at all.
Well, I'm making an argument.
I actually am.
No, I'm not. I'm making an argument for, firstly, right, no one would be talking about this if it was women and children. No one would be protesting outside of those hotels when it was families. These are single men that are committing these crimes, right? So that's the first point in this. Secondly, even if it was 1% of people that came over and did this, that is still going to mean that we're bringing in a problem that was not here before. Now, if we bring people over and we don't know who they are and we can't actually vet them and we are not holding them until we know who they are, how on earth do we solve this problem? I don't want to hear this nonsense about how years ago there were different people that might have come here and had some of these issues.
Christo. It's a fact of life that, unfortunately, human beings can do very, very terrible things. We need to do whatever we can to stop that happening.
Well, we're not, though, are we? Because we're letting them in. This is the point.
Well, they are coming in and claiming asylum, which is an internationally recognised human right, and their claims are being processed. The claims are not being processed speedily enough, obviously, and there are some people who are bad people who shouldn't be here. Absolutely.
Well, unfortunately, we have to wait for them to do bad things before we find out if they're
Patrick,
bad person.
People are coming into this country because of the system that we have, where we're allowing people to come on small boats, and we are allowing it to happen because we've stopped all other options for people to do it. Some of those people will be bad people.
So I'm saying stop it all.
But, well, I mean, obviously the government wants to stop it all. Clearly that's not happening at the moment.
There should be no balance of opinion on child rape. There should just be one answer to child rape.
Balance of opinion on it.
I'm not suggesting you are, Jonathan. I understand that for you, immigration is important for a different reason than it is important for me. What I will say is there has to come a point, a moral point, where we stand collectively, whether we are left, right, centre, black, brown, white, whatever, where we say no more. Just absolutely no more.